Hello everyone, Jules here for WhatCulture.com, and I want to talk to you today about video games, or more specifically, about how video games can make you a better person. Now, when it comes to discussing the relationship between the mind and the medium of video games, things can quickly become a bit of a quagmire of opinions, fears, and of course, media spin. For as long as it has been possible to do so, video games have been used as a kind of negative scapegoat when it comes to pointing the finger at material that affects and shapes the mind of the public in a bad way. One need not look hard or indeed very far to find countless accounts of how overexposure to video games will make you lethargic, aggressive, socially distant, and even exaggerate existing mental health issues. And while I will not claim to debunk each and every one of those with a sweeping statement, I do feel that this line of thinking is A, much more complex than this, and is likely just one factor in a series of other environmental and social pressures, and B, that this completely overlooks the equally weighted examples of how video games can help you form healthy habits, both personally and socially. So today, let's not chastise, but instead cherish the art form and look at how video games can make you a better person. Number 10, video games teach you to never give up. If you were to take a step back and look at the current state of the world, you might notice that over the years our society has moved more and more towards a state of instant gratification. When it comes to how we shop, eat, and experience, we have so many options at our fingertips that it's possibly come at the detriment of our patience. I mean, why wait? It's literally one click away, right? And this is not a good thing. It teaches us that patience, the act of taking time over projects, is time wasted. And yet, while the media is very quick to paint video game players as rage-infused people who will slam down their controllers to the ground if a game didn't go exactly right the very first time, things actually couldn't be further from the truth. For many, deaths and game overs and losses are something to be overcome rather than be the source of rage quits. And it's true, sometimes in life, hell, a lot of the time, things won't go your way. And you know what? To fail is actually okay. Failure is an honest teacher, as what it does is allow us to learn. It allows us to refine what we truly want out of life and offers something much more valuable in the process: perspective. With perspective, you can approach a problem from a different manner, ask for assistance, or simply catch a moment to ask yourself if this is really the right course of action for you. So yes, even though games like Dark Souls will crush you again and again, you'll likely end up learning a ton about yourself and your own limitations should you choose to persevere. Number 9, video games offer anchor points to discuss real-life issues. In recent years, the rise of air quotes personal tale video game narratives has been on a steady rise. Thanks to platforms like Steam and the accessibility of developing tools on offer to even the most casual of developers, it's never been easier to get your stories out there to the public. And within this slew of new titles, there have been some truly outstanding commentaries on pretty incredibly tough subjects. That Dragon Cancer dealt with the express pain of losing a young child to a horrible disease. Celeste offered insight into the struggles of dealing with depression. To the Moon details a fantastical journey through the acceptance of a life well lived and the arrival of death. Now, these aren't your run-of-the-mill shoot-until-you-win scenarios. These are thoughtful and often surgical explorations of subject matter that mainstream media often glosses over, and simply put, we need to see more of it. These experiences are not just focal points of catharsis, but allow others to anchor their own experiences and use it as talking points to begin some often very difficult conversations. There's something undeniably valuable in the feeling of a true connection to a source material, and video games of this ilk allow many players to begin dealing with their issues because it offers them something vital in this process: the knowledge that you are not alone. Number 8, multiplayer builds and strengthens social skills. So let's just address the elephant in the room. Yes, multiplayer lobbies can indeed be filled with some of the worst examples of humankind. Racism, sexism, homophobia, and more details about your mum's apparent sexual exploits than you'd ever want to know can flood some franchises' online components. But here's the thing, this is a classic example of the few and, let's just face it, very loud speaking for the many, as online and multiplayer experiences in general can be some of the most rewarding and important aspects of video video games for positive social development. On a personal level, online video game multiplayer has afforded me the chance to connect with people from around the world, people who I've never actually met in real life, but who I would still firmly define as being people I trust and care for. Solutions have been found, problems overcome, all thanks to working together online. Whether it's a brain teaser in Portal 2 or saving your friend from being overwhelmed in Borderlands, cooperative and competitive gaming breeds sportsmanship and communication, both of which we could do a lot more with in this day and age. Number 7. Video games teach you the value and weight of choices. Some video games just love a good old dollop of moral choices, don't they? Whether it's choosing to risk your life for some precious reward or determining who to leave behind in the face of disaster, moral quandaries are rife in the industry. And it's not just a means to shock players and media outlets alike with rough and pretty tough stuff, it's a perfect way to get a new form of interaction with the player to make their actions feel immediate and meaningful. And with this immersion comes a chance to experience the value of choice. To question our surroundings and not simply accept them is one of the best qualities of being human, and recognizing what aspects of our life can be shaped by our own decisions is a truly important thing to learn. Now, while I doubt that we'll be deciding whether or not to cut off our arm for fear of zombie infection in the average day-to-day existence, the act of recognizing emotions such as empathy and the sheer weight of what a choice could mean to our chosen avatar has the possibility to make us more compassionate and understanding in real life. Number 6. Escapism gives you time to process. One of the main arguments against video games from the mainstream media is how it appears to those looking in from the outside. To these people, they simply see another person locked to a screen, often not talking, and then come to the conclusion that this is somehow lazier than watching TV, which I'm sure many of the industry's critics actually partake in a lot. However, this couldn't be further from the truth, because the engagement between player and the video game in question is one of reaction and escapism. For every button pressed, there is an involvement or reaction, and this creates a non-verbal dialogue. Now, this dialogue is the game telling the player how to beat it and the player responding, and this connection allows for escapism to set in. And it is not a negative aspect to lose yourself to a narrative or a tense action game, because it allows your mind to focus on something. In a generalized sense, a lot of people who suffer from poor mental health will speak about the inability to focus, or indeed being too focused on one particular and often very painful aspect of their lives. Now, video games can break both cycles by allowing the attention to be shifted onto something else. This allows for a form of relaxation, as now the brain is engaging with something else and can give the player time to reflect or indeed process information without even realizing it. Video games are not a solution to mental health issues, but offer a chance to be something else for a short while, and they allow people to take a step back from real-life issues, giving a moment of respite in the process. Number 5. They teach lateral problem-solving skills. On the surface, it might seem like video games are examples of taking the player from point A to point B with cutscenes in between. However, in reality, it's much more the case that it's a fractured journey filled with paths being blocked, puzzles to master, and items to find in order to progress. Now, this allows developers to create problems for players to really get their grey cells firing, requiring them to memorize patterns, recall information that has already been divulged to the player, and to think laterally about how to overcome these obstacles. And you'd be surprised at how many times these puzzles come up in titles, and it's not just games like Professor Layton which thrive on head scratches. It can be in the likes of Doom or Spyro, where the path ahead requires some mental and often physical acrobatics in order to get around. And when you start to think laterally, you'll notice that you become able to recognize the same patterns in real life, increasing your chances of success should something of the same nature occur to you. Number 4. They level the playing field. One of the biggest challenges the video game industry faces is making sure that everyone can enjoy their video games, as why should a certain audience or those with mental or physical conditions be barred from experiencing the joys of video games? It's not fair. There's enough inequality in life, so it's great to see and hear of countless stories of parents encouraging video games as an activity for children with learning or social issues. Because online, everyone is equal. It doesn't matter what your situation is, as here, the rules are set. And even if you're not as skilled as someone else, you're still encouraged to enjoy the experience. It's why I'm a huge fan of video game difficulty modes, as here you can cater for every audience. You can have punishingly hard experiences for players wanting to go that extra mile, and less demanding experiences for those who want something more narrative driven. And here's a bit of real talk here. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you completed the likes of God of War on the hardest difficulty or the easiest. All that matters is that you were able to do so however you chose. Number 3, they can help increase your vocabulary. Now, I know this might seem a bit far-fetched at first, but seriously, if you look online, you'll find countless examples of video games that have had a positive impact on players' lexicons. Now, while the mass media would have you believe that every game narrative is made of grunting and swearing, if you even scratch the surface, you'll find evidence to the counter. Even in games which court controversy for a living, like Red Dead Redemption 2, you'll find use of words that don't often get everyday exposure. Now, this is the thing, you might fancy yourself as a verbiage veteran, but some players have never come across the use of words like conjuration or elemental, and there are accounts of spelling tests being passed thanks to World of Warcraft text, and even fans of games like Final Fantasy VI and VII learning to read fluently thanks to these titles. And it's the same with historical facts and information that are present in video games. Players can learn about architecture designs of our collective pasts thanks to the likes of Assassin's Creed, or detailed mythologies and legends from the likes of God of War. In fact, some titles' fascination with depicting real-life environments means that it's incredibly easy to walk away with information that you'd have never even thought to look up. Number 2, they promote creativity. I mean, surely with the likes of Minecraft and Dreams out on the market, this must be such an obvious statement, right? Well, you might be surprised to find that, again, the general consensus is still siding with the idea that video games are detrimental to people's lives. And while there are many examples of video games that do allow you to do nothing more than destroy in high definition, the likes of Stardew Valley, Satisfactory, Scribblenauts, and many more encourage players to create in a multitude of different ways. In fact, with the aforementioned Minecraft and Dreams-esque titles, creation is the main thrust of the game, placing its audience in a situation where they effectively build their own experience, meaning that you literally only get out of this what you put in. And it's not limited to what you play, but even how you play it, because Dark Souls has been beaten with dance mats. Skyrim has been conquered using vegetables and electronic impulses as a controller, and a myriad of other titles bested with blindfolds, deathless runs, and even using your feet. Honestly, creativity in the industry is everywhere. And number 1, they empower you, sometimes secretly. The question of why we play video games can be boiled down all the way to one simple desire. We want to win. A video game is just that, a game to be beaten, and with that success comes a feeling of satisfaction and emotional reward. And as research into gameplay loops, level design and boss design, UI and AI and everything else in between has been expanded, so too has the medium's ability to elicit true emotion from the player without them even knowing it's happening. Because no one likes to lose, and so hidden tweaks such as Bioshock's Big Daddies running at a slower pace when your back is turned, or Street Fighter allowing a generous window of input buffering for you to chain together combos all make you feel empowered without spelling it out to you. This nurturing of success in audiences isn't the same as just giving them a free pass, but what it does is make them engage and learn skills at a pace that isn't so punishing that they become angry and leave the title altogether. So whether you're eking out a bit of coyote time in Crash Bandicoot or having your last bullet deal extra damage to help out in a pinch, the result is the same. You can do this, and you're getting better each and every time you try. And there we go, my friends. Those were some reasons why playing video games is good for you. I hope that you enjoyed this little think piece that I've knocked up, because I wanted to put something positive out there, because when you're looking around with the current situation that's going on, it can seem like a bit of doom and gloom, and I just wanted to put something positive out so that everyone can sort of realize that even by doing a simple act of just taking time out for themselves and playing a video game, it's actually a benefit to them in the long run. I hope that you're doing well. I really sincerely hope that, because you are a massive ledge who deserves love, happiness and success. And I hope that you got something from my ramblings on this. Please let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. And go out there, or as probably is better termed, stay in and smash it, you big ledge. If you want to chat to me further, you can do so over on Twitter at RetroJ with a 0. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye.